Hi everyone! Today we're going to show you how to configure your Omada SDN to work with Spotipo Captive Portal. First, it's important to note that you need an Omada SDN supported device and the Omada SDN or Omada Cloud to run this service. Spotipo Captive Portal won't work if you have a TP-Link device that's not supported or not enrolled into the Omada SDN or Omada Cloud portal. So keep that in mind. To start, we need to create the Spotipo site that supports Omada. To do that, simply go to add a site button, or if it's your first site, then the wizard will guide you through it. So click on the add a site button, and from this next step, you just need to select the Omada TP-Link and select your preferred login method. Now, we already have a site, so we're not going to use this, so I'm just going to cancel it, but you just click on the create location button. Now that that's done, you'll have your site with the dashboard panel here. So what you need next is you need to go to settings and go to Omada config. From here, you'll get the configuration details needed to configure the captive portal on the Omada SDN. And as you can see, you have the radius profile address, its secret, NAS ID, and splash page URL. So we're going to use that, but not right away. So keep that in mind and save it somewhere, or just keep this tab open. For the next step, you need to go to your Omada SDN. And here you need to configure a few things on the global view first. So don't go into your sites yet. First, you need to change some global settings. To do that, go to settings and system settings. So first of all, if you're using the Omada Cloud, you can skip this step. But if you're using the Omada SDN, this part is mandatory. So you need public access to your Omada SDN, or if your access point and the controller are on the same network, then only the local DNS is enough. So in the settings, system settings, you have your generic system information, but the most important things that you need to do here are to upload your domain's HTTPS certificate here, or the SSL certificate. So many different methods to it that I can't explain it in this video. But if you have a domain name that you're using for your Omada controller, you need to have a valid certificate for it to support the captive portal. Also, the private key password needs to be included. Otherwise, the Omada won't accept the certificate. You also need to edit the access config panel so that it reflects your controller's hostname correctly. And you need to enable redirect HTTP to HTTPS option. You can leave the ports at default values. It is recommended to do so. And you can leave everything else at default as well. Next step is to move from the global view to the specific site you're using with Spotipo. So we're using this site. So we're just going to click here. And once here, we need to create a radius profile, which we're going to use for authentication and accounting purposes. To do that, go to settings, and under network profile, there's a radius profile option here. From here, create a new radius profile right here. And what you're going to need is name the server. Let's say we're going to use Spotipo, for example, here. Now, for the authentication server IP, you're going to use the address provided in Spotipo Omada config section. It is going to be this one here. As for the authentication password, just do the same and copy the password generated next to the secret field in Spotipo. Also enable radius accounting. This will open up a few more options, but the gist is pretty much the same. Just use the accounting server IP, the same one used for authentication server IP, and for the accounting password, use the same password that you used in the authentication step. Also enable the interim update and change the default value from 600 to 300. Once that's done, simply click on the save button and the changes should take effect. And if everything is connected successfully, you'll see your new radius server here, and you should just double check that it has the correct IP address and that the radius port is 1812. and also that the accounting is enabled like so. So next we need to move on to creating the portal for your Omada SDN. To do that, go to the settings, and under authentication there's a portal button. From here you can just create a new portal, name it whatever you like. Let's say we're going to use Spotipo portal. You need to select the network that you'd like to use this on. It's usually a guest network, but if you want you can use it on whichever one you'd like. For the authentication type, select the radius server. Now, sometimes in older versions, you need to choose the external radius server, but here we're just going to use this one. Leave the timeout at 8 hours. For the radius profile, choose the one that you just created. In this case, we're going to use this one. For the NAS ID, you need to go back to Spotipo and copy the NAS ID from there. And also enable the disconnect requests, and you can leave the default port at 3799. For the authentication mode, you can use PIP, and for the portal customization, use the external web portal. Now, when you choose the external web portal, the new field with the requested URL opens up. So here you need to change this first to HTTPS. And the next step is to use the URL generated in Spotipo like we used previously. So go back to your Spotipo site and copy the URL in the splash page URL field. So this one right here. Now that we have that, we need to check the HTTPS redirection, and we can leave the landing page at the original URL. Now that you've configured everything, all that's left to do is use the access control panel to make sure that the portal itself is not blocked by the Omada. So simply go to the access control tab, and here you need to add the new addresses. So the addresses necessary for this are going to be linked in the description as well, so that you can have an easier time adding URLs yourself. But how it works is you use either IP range or the URL, and most of the rest are just URLs. So change this setting from IP range to URL and paste the other URLs you'd like to use. Now, these two are mandatory, but there are some optional URLs that you can use. So if you're planning to use Stripe login, make sure to use the following. And if you'd like to use Facebook login, also use these addresses. Once you're done entering the URLs, simply click on this save button, and all of your addresses should appear here. Now, after you make sure that the portal is enabled right here, make sure to apply the settings and give your Omada a few minutes to apply everything. After you use your test device to connect to the newly configured Wi-Fi, you should be able to get the portal to pop up. And everything should work as expected. But if you're still having issues or can't do some of the steps yourself, please make sure to reach out to us at support@spotipo.com or by typing to us in the chat at our Spotipo site. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.